Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Bryan Wachter joins us. He's the Senior Vice President of the Retail Association of Nevada, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday. Trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Here on 7 at 7, we're bringing you the local headlines in just 7 minutes.
We've got you covered in the morning, evening, and for all breaking news in between and as it happens.
Life is busy, and we don't waste your time. Join us for local news now streaming on our YouTube page.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Bryan Wachter. He is the Senior Vice President of the Retail Association of Nevada. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Sam.
So in just a couple of weeks, you will be ensconced in Carson City for the legislative session. Your thoughts going into this? Let me start with this. You know, we know that there are lots of areas of disagreement. Can you see areas right now of agreement that both sides can work on?
I think certainly. I think education, maybe not all areas of education, but I think there is a strong desire for more accountability and where those state funding dollars are currently going and what some of those local districts are, choosing to do with their time and attention. I think that's something that everyone in Carson City desperately has been looking for. We keep trying new things, and I think that's something that is certainly bipartisan. I think there are some supply chain issues as a result of climate change, as a result of disease that certainly need to be looked at, and that's something that the legislature, I think, can come together as a group with the governor and solve for us. In fact, there are some issues that we need attention to very rapidly. And so I think having leadership and the governor coming out and looking at areas like that, I think certainly there's some common ground there.
All right, so go ahead, sorry.
No, but please go ahead.
Okay, well, I was just gonna start hitting some of those in a little bit more detail. So education, obviously we put a huge amount of money last session into education. Do you see a desire on both sides to put a lot more money into education without having some setup of accountability and maybe dividing between what teachers need to live on and make a decent living and a career out of this versus what we're putting into the system per se?
Well, what I would say is not every education conversation needs to start with a money conversation. For instance, in the Clark County School District, every site is charged the average cost of a teacher for the Clark County School District, and that's how their budgets are built. So if they have 10 teachers, but that average cost of a teacher now in the Clark County School District is $120,000 per teacher per year. So we have to consider that we maybe have accomplished a few goals in the last couple of sessions as it pertains to employee salaries. We haven't done nearly enough on retaining employees, and I think that's probably more a local failure than the state, but the state needs to take a look at what local sites are doing for retaining the teachers that we do currently have. And we need to look at some of those accountability measures that we know need to be in place that don't usually require additional funding dollars, but require us to start thinking about education in a different way. And so I think those are all conversations that are ripe for open.
Okay, for example, with that.
Well, when we came out of COVID, after having shut things down, every district in the state was now a one-to-one technology school. There were a lot of things that we could have done to build a more capable, more modern education system. And instead, what a lot of our local districts have done is revert back to the 20th century education model, which we have seen through test scores continue to fail year over year. In spite of those year over year funding increases, Sam, that you're mentioning. And so we need to take a look at ways that we are actually teaching. How are we providing the service of education to the number of students that we are? Otherwise, there is a ticking time bomb on this, Sam, because enrollment is going to be down in the state's largest district in Clark County. That's projected to be down for the next school year. And we're continuing this trend of students leaving public education for homeschooling, for non-public school charters, for private schools. And we could end up in a situation, if we don't fix this problem, where our schools are becoming the education provider of last resort. And I, or Rand, don't think that is where we need to be as a society or as a state. But that is what we are facing if we don't start having some of these conversations. The budget is going to be limited. We're not going to have new revenue, Sam. So that perhaps maybe takes that out. We can have a conversation about education without revenue because we're not projecting increasing, revenue by a significant amount of money.
Let's talk about what happened during COVID. I think that it exposed that we were totally unprepared for a circumstance like that, where kids were going to be learning on PCs and laptops and iPads rather than being in a classroom. Don't we need to be prepared for the next time this happens, whether it's hopefully not in our lifetimes, but it potentially could be? And we saw, for example, in other industries like the gaming industry, the fast food industry, where robotics came into the mix of things, and it didn't necessarily get rid of employees. What it did was make those businesses more efficient, and those employees picked up different roles. Is there an opportunity here for us to revisit how we teach education, whether it be on a public level or any of the private levels you mentioned?
Well, in our opinion, in my opinion, yes, this should be the perfect time to have that conversation. And it's a little disappointing that we're actually waiting so far to have that. To your point, it was sudden when we transitioned to this new virtual reality that became school. And no one's suggesting that that's where children need to be, is stuck at home in their bedrooms learning on a laptop.
Sure.
But what we decided to do was learn none of those lessons. And I can tell you, I've got a sophomore in high school at a Clark County school, and increasingly frustrated that his teachers are making the concentrated effort to go back to paper in terms of giving assignments, allowing assignments to be posted in. But not really, Sam, because while they give them paper and they do the assignment, he has to physically take a camera and take a picture of the assignment and then upload it to their digital tool. So in no way are we using technology as a way that is enhancing the education experience of the student. We're choosing to use it in very weird kind of administrative ways because we haven't had a conversation about what education service should look like going forward into the future. It was a missed opportunity during COVID. It was a missed opportunity right after, and we should not miss it again.
Are the teachers' unions, and I'm speaking in part, for the Clark County Education Association, the NSEA, Are they talking about anything beyond increased funding?
I can't say much about the NSEA, but I can say from the CCEA, if they've been consistently supporting efforts that force more accountability at individual school sites, that push for more accountability in central. In the Clark County School District. And I think those are all things that the legislature is also looking for, that the business community is looking for, is more transparency about how decisions are made, and then actually holding those public officials accountable for the consequences of some of those decisions. And that's the part we don't have. If you're going to talk about education accountability, you can't ignore that the Clark County School Board of Trustees has a very poor track record of actually following up and doing reviews of their superintendent staff. And it shows in the type of quality and leaders that we're getting and that we continue to hold on to.
Let me hit on to another issue that you raised. Still problems with the supply chain. Where are the problems as you see them at this point in the supply chain, and how are they affecting Nevada?
Well, the first biggest issue would be the current supply chain on eggs. We are experiencing obviously winter, but on top of that, devastation of our bird flocks through avian flu. We are culling millions of birds on an average basis a week. In order for the supply chain to stay resilient, we need an egg-laying hen for every citizen. So that would put us at needing about 330 million. And our last rough estimate, we're currently sitting at 286 million egg-laying hens. So there is huge holes in that supply chain. Nevada passed a law in 21 that limited the supply chain for Nevada to eggs that are only sourced from cage-free eggs or cage-free hens. And so we have been working with the governor's office, with the majority leader, Canizaro, with Speaker Yeager, as well as the minority leader, Titus, and Hafen, Assemblyman Watts, in order to actually bring a bill the first week of session to allow Nevada to pause that NRS and allow us to start sourcing eggs from caged hen houses so that we can start evening out that supply chain and hopefully be able to reduce some of that pressure, bring down prices a bit, and stabilize that market. And so we're glad to have that commitment that was announced yesterday. And so we are looking forward to being able to at least solve that supply chain problem temporarily.
One of the other things that jumped out at me, and of course everybody in Southern Nevada, was the shutdown of the gas pipeline for a few days. It's very scary to think that we still rely on the pipeline from Southern California, and if that goes down, and the same story really for Northern Nevada, although we weren't affected in Northern Nevada, that's our only recourse is that pipeline.
Well, I think they're definitely, obviously you always want redundancy built into those strategic reserves and those services. What I will say is on average, Nevada, or Southern Nevada at least, has 2 weeks of capacity and fuel reserves for emergencies such as this. I think this one was a little bit blown out of proportion, to be honest, Sam. I think the bigger concern was actually how our government agencies responded to the situation. Wednesday, when the pipeline went down, we did not see huge kind of responses. It wasn't until Metro, the city of Las Vegas, and to some extent the Clark County sent out public notices that caused a little bit of panic. And our retailers then suddenly had gas lines. We had people filling containers that aren't meant for gas, and creating a situation that, to be honest, did not need to be created. And so if we're going to anticipate that these types of emergencies are going to increase more frequently, then our local governments have got to be better at emergency management, and they have to understand the effect that they're going to have on consumers when they announce things that sound scarier than they are.
All right, let's take a break. More with Bryan Wachter of the Retail Association after this timeout.
The new year is bringing so much fun to Tamarack Casino with cash and free play drawings Thursdays and Saturdays, and 40,000 in grand finale giveaways Thursday, February 27th. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Bryan Wachter. He is the Senior Vice President of the Retail Association of Nevada. So in addition to the legislative session, of course, we're at the beginning of the cycle, because the cycle never ends, for the governor's race. How do you think this is going to play out in the session?
Well, I think last session gave us a good indicator on what the Democrats can and are willing to do as the majority party in the legislature to stymie or to put some hurdles up on the governor's agenda. We're hearing now that perhaps a different atmosphere or environment is going to take place this session, with perhaps a more emphasis on some bipartisan solutions. So we're optimistic that could occur, but I think there's no ignoring the reality that there are a lot of players in this legislative session that are involved that are also going to be on November's ballot. And so that is certainly going to play a role, I think, in how some of these conversations and negotiations take place.
We already know that the Attorney General, Aaron Ford, is going to run for governor. There are rumors out there that Steve Sisolak potentially is going to jump in. That would make for a pretty messy primary if a whole bunch of people get in on the Democratic side.
I think all discourse is good discourse, and being able to find the best candidate that you want to put up. I think in that particular instance, Steve Sisolak maybe doesn't look so bad. But I do think that it is going to be a competitive primary. And I think that Lombardo certainly, I think, has the upper hand in there, is that he will be the presumptive Republican nominee. He is running for governor today. And the Democrats still have yet to figure out, I think, who is going where. And so that is certainly some leverage that the governor has, I think, in the process.
You know, it's interesting. In the old days, when Kenny Gwynn ran for governor the first time, he raised $3 million, and everybody was blown away by that amount of money, which was a huge sum back then. In the last election cycle, Steve Sisolak raised $15 million, and I was told that was almost an insignificant amount of money. How much money do you think is going to be poured into this next governor's race?
Are we talking just from the candidate, Sam, or for everybody who's going to file a political amicus?
I think the whole joint effort.
I would not be surprised if, when it was all said and done, more than $100 million was spent on affecting and trying to influence the race for governor in Nevada.
$100 million. Wow.
I think once you get to the point where you're looking at a $15 to $20 million commitment directly from the candidates themselves, and you're talking about having multiple primaries, and then a lot of our elections, of course, as you know, are very national, and so certain groups are just geared up to come in, and I think that's a very possible number, especially given the cost of politics these days as well.
Wow, that's a lot of dough. Let's take another break. We'll be right back with Bryan Wachter after this timeout.
Welcome to the Winnemucca Big R.
Hi, I'm John Walker. Welcome to Big R Lovelock.
Hi, I'm Rich Martin. Welcome to Fallon Big R.
My name is Braden. Welcome to Big R Fernley.
Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome to Big R Sparks.
Welcome to the Ahern Boutique Hotel, where luxury and warmth come together in the heart of Las Vegas.
We take pride in offering a one-of-a-kind experience for both locals and tourists.
Join us for handcrafted cocktails and an unforgettable experience.
Joel's Chop House, the perfect place to savor views of the Las Vegas Strip.
Satisfy your cravings at the Ahern Chocolate Shop.
No smoking, no resort fees, and the parking is always free. The Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel is your home away from home.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the heat back on today. Call us today and we'll fix it today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why freeze for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your furnace fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Bryan Wachter. He is the Senior Vice President for the Retail Association of Nevada. As we look back on the presidential election, so much was made of Joe Rogan's influence, certainly on President Trump's side, or soon-to-be President Trump's side, and J.D. Vance. Whereas Vice President Harris did not appear on that program, but did appear on other national podcasts, like Charlemagne the God, which I listened to and was very interesting. How much do you think other media, beyond the traditional media, is going to play a role in the upcoming election cycle?
I think it will continue to play a larger role cycle over cycle, Sam. Especially as more and more content is moved away from those who are regulated to speech, and that content is moved to platforms that are less regulated speech. I think you're going to start seeing the exodus. And we've already started seeing how people are changing their media consumption habits to kind of fit that pattern. We've also seen, I think, some of the society consequences that come with that, but it's just going to continue to play a larger and larger role. And I think this is just expanding upon a pattern that has already been occurring, Sam, with people are now actively choosing their own media ecosystems. And part of these podcasts and who they're listening to and how they're listening to them it's going to continue to evolve into that very self-selected ecosystem that you want to listen to and you feel most comfortable in.
And, it's interesting. We've been doing podcasting since 2005. We were in at the very beginning of that. And it's been interesting that is the largest growth area for the broadcast. I mean, television and radio have been stable and good. But the website is good and maintains itself, but the podcasts, both audio and video, have gone through the roof over the last few years.
No, and I think it's nice as a consumer that you have a menu of things that you can choose for. You get to decide what you're curious in, who you want to listen to. What I will say, though, is Spotify probably changed the game a little bit. A week before the election last time, they started to allow political advertising. And so I think that is going to probably be 2026 political frontier is a large increase in the type of advertising content that you're going to see across podcast platforms.
And I think the interesting part of that for me as somebody who produces podcasts is that people who buy media are going to have to realize that unless they want to follow the fate of so many newspapers across the country who charge too much for their product and were easily cut out, that they need to raise the amount of money they spend on these different platforms because they can't survive on a per-click basis. That just isn't a functional way for these papers to survive.
No, I think that's 100% accurate. And I think that's also why you're moving to more and more ad-free type platforms, or at least the ad-free option is hoping that those types of revenue streams allow you to kind of socialize that cost and continue to produce the content that you're wanting to produce. I think that being kind of a newer, more innovative space, we don't yet have kind of a standard operating procedure for that type of the industry yet. And so I think we're still going to see new firms come up, old firms who are going to get better before we kind of realize what that final end product looks like.
And that's where we have to leave it. Looking forward to seeing you in Carson City, my friend.
I appreciate it, Sam. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and we'll be right back.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
The $150,000 flurry of cash giveaways only at the Carson Valley Inn.
Story County is leading Nevada. Home of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, Google, Tesla, Panasonic, and other world-leading companies. Story County provides thousands of tech, advanced manufacturing, and logistics careers for Nevadans. We're diversifying and driving Nevada's economy and generating millions in tax revenue and billions in economic activity across northern Nevada. Story County is leading Nevada's future.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
We wouldn't steer you wrong with the gold standard of steaks at Joel's Chop House. Indulge in dry-aged steaks, seafood, Wagyu tomahawks, and great views of the Strip.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day on various platforms, including television, radio, our website, audio and video podcasts, YouTube. You want to find the show, you can find it pretty darn easily. And we cover politics, business, health, and education. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next broadcast.